much in a short space of time. Perhaps it's too soon for him to leave, but are there behind the scenes issues that we don't know about? Because some economists are even saying that they suspect that the reason Hadebe resigned was because of political interference with the board. Now, to get an idea of what could be happening at Eskom, we have Ted Blom, who is an energy expert. Thank you very much for coming, sir. Firstly, if an employee of an organization is sick, they take sick leave. Why should a CEO resign because he's not feeling well?
Yeah, I think this level of sickness is much more than what you and I would normally take a day or two off with. He's collapsed because of stress at the office, I'm told. And also, I mean, I think he's at his wit's end. You recall this board was appointed by the president around about the 22nd of January last year. And none of the board members that were appointed actually had any energy experience, barring one person who had some nursing experience. The rest had also no Eskom experience. And I don't think it's possible to run an organization as complex and as big as Eskom without actual company experience, on the one hand. Secondly, I don't think you can run an energy company if you don't have engineering experience. And in this regard, I think you need at least a mechanical or electrical engineer who's got deep knowledge of Eskom and the South African energy industry to be appointed. And lastly, this job is not for the mild and the meek. In the only way I can describe it, you need a Chuck Norris type of person who's got the perseverance and the guts to actually sort this organization out. Remember, this organization is on its deathbed, if not already in the morgue, as I said earlier on last month. So you can't just have the average run-of-the-mill academic type of person coming and running this organization and hoping to make an impact. It's a large organization. It's got 48,000 people. It's got over 400 sites. You need to have a presence in that organization that's there even when you're not there. That's the type of person you need.
At the moment, you're talking about the Chuck Norris type of leadership of a CEO, but then the board was coming up with the strategy on how to turn Eskom around, and it was the CEO's job to implement. But with this in case, in hindsight, couldn't you be saying that he acted for around 4 months? He knew what he was signing up for. If he knew that he could have been overwhelmed, he should have known while he was acting. So should we say that this leaves much to be desired in terms of him implementing according to the authority that he has as a CEO? Now tell us, how does this political interference that we are talking about play out?
Okay, so the board is firstly appointed by the president, which is irregular. The shareholders of the Department of Public Enterprises, they should have appointed the board. Secondly, at the Zondo Commission, it came to bear that the board wasn't due diligence before they were appointed. They were appointed over a period of a long weekend, and only after they were appointed did certain serious conflicts of interest arise. Thirdly, if one had to constitute a board of the biggest company in Africa and the most complex, certainly you should have looked for technical skills. Those weren't forthcoming. The turnaround plan in September that was promised wasn't forthcoming. It still hasn't been forthcoming. And it's now a year and a half later. In America, if you don't deliver a turnaround plan within 30 days, they fire you. Then on the 8th of December, the minister de facto took over the running of Eskom, because at that press meeting, we had a whole board members and representatives sitting there with a mouthful of teeth. And that meeting was run by Minister Pravin Gordhan. He didn't even give the other people a chance to say anything much more than hello. And there he sort of took control of the load shedding and the rescue plan. And a few weeks later, over Christmas, the president announced the advisory team, the 8 wise men, which included people from overseas and former CEOs, etc. Again, usurping the power of the board and the CEO. And then hardly a month later, they announced the 3 happy Italians. I say they're happy because they never had to arrive, because the unions objected to them coming.
Oh, okay, Ted, right there. You as analysts are saying this is political interference.
Absolutely.
What if it's government intervention? Because when something goes wrong at Eskom, the whole nation suffers and the government is held accountable.
Absolutely. So the appointments that have been made should have been made with foresight. I believe that, and I'm told that the president was in a hurry to make those appointments before leaving for Davos. And that was just after he'd won the Nasrec election. And then in the period of less than a week, he quickly applied his mind and found some people that were
now going forward, who is likely to take over, and then would that person be overwhelmed as well?
Well, that's why I say you need somebody that's steeped in deep engineering experience. He needs to be steeped in deep Eskom experience. Eskom doesn't listen to an outsider coming along. It's just the way the culture is. And Mr. Hadebe understood that, because that's why one of his objectives was to spend 5 years changing the culture of Eskom.
So there's going to be a CEO who's going to take over, same Eskom, same political interference. How will this person do things differently?
Well, as his terms of engagement, the rules need to be very, very clearly clarified. He needs to have a fixed term appointment, a minimum of 5 years. He needs to be given free hands to execute a mandate that is scrutinized and developed by the board to resurrect and restore Eskom to some form of sustainability, because at the moment it's not a going concern.
There have been many CEOs at Eskom, they've never finished their terms. Will this one finish it?
Well, if he's the right person and he has the right confidence level from the public, on the one hand, from the lenders to Eskom, from Eskom staff, and from the government, which is a tall call, that person has a fair chance. And I think I've come across those people. They do exist, they're real, and they just we just need to drop our political ambitions and give them the job of managing Eskom as a business. All
right, Ted, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time.
Always welcome.
Well, Ted Blom is an energy expert talking about the situation there at Eskom.